Greetings, my dear viewer. You're on the channel The Price of Cheating. The channel is for those who appreciate traditional family values and condemn adultery. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. When the clock struck 10 in the evening, Oscar finally mustered the courage to go upstairs to the bedroom. His wife, Julia, a stunning beauty whom he had cherished for 35 years, was getting ready to go out with her friends. The thought that she was going on a date again sparked a familiar anxiety within him, an unease that had blossomed after her last outing with these women the previous Friday. He wasn't prepared to accept this new weekly ritual. Julia caught the troubled look on his face and sighed wearily. "I hope you're not going to start complaining again." Oscar's gaze shifted to the alluring dress laid out on the bed and the blue lingerie she was showing off. She looked absolutely breathtaking. "I've never seen that before," he remarked, unable to hide his surprise. For a moment it seemed as though Julia flinched awkwardly. "Of course you haven't. I bought them just this week." After a brief pause, full of contemplation, Oscar walked into the bathroom and returned, tossing her usual lingerie into the laundry. In his hands he held a bra and panties made of plain cotton. "So this is what's normal for your husband?" he asked, his tone laced with irony. "But tell me, are you happy you bought that?" He gestured towards the delicate blue bra and the matching lace panties. "For some random guy you don't even know?" His eyes bore into her with a hint of accusation. Julia's reaction was immediate. "Not yet," he added, letting the silence linger in the air. "Unless," he continued, his voice low and calculated, "it's just another girls' night out. Or maybe you're planning to meet someone special there. Something like a date?" She stared at him with disbelief written all over her face. "No!" she exclaimed, her voice rising in protest. "There can't be anyone else. How could you even think such a thing?" Oscar leaned back, carefully choosing his words as he addressed her. "In the company of your friends, you wouldn't dare dance with other men, talk to them, kiss them, or let them get too close, right? What makes you think I would ever allow that?" His tone was controlled, but Julia could feel the tension mounting. "I think it's because I know more about your friends than you might think," he replied, his voice steady and firm. "Really? You're talking about an unmarried woman, a couple of divorcees, and yourself? Do you honestly believe they wouldn't try to pull you into their world of casual flings?" "How dare you judge them?" Julia's eyes flashed with anger. "No, I'm not judging them," he responded calmly. "They, like you, have the freedom to choose." A look of suspicion crossed her face. "But you're suggesting that I shouldn't go. Is that the choice you're offering?" "And yet I'm saying that it is a choice," Oscar clarified, his gaze unwavering. "I just think that the kind of behavior they represent isn't fitting for a married woman. They'll get you into a situation that could spell trouble for us." "Are you really suggesting that spending time with my friends could jeopardize our marriage?" she asked sarcastically, disbelief in her voice. "Don't be so insecure. I'll always come back to you. Why does this bother you so much?" The unspoken tension hung between them as the weight of his concerns settled over the room. Oscar's heart pounded with anxiety as he watched Julia prepare for her night out. She was undoubtedly the most stunning woman he had ever known, and the thought of her heading to a club with a group of single women he didn't trust sent a chill down his spine. The combination of flirtatious men, flowing drinks, and a carefree atmosphere seemed like a recipe for disaster. "Wait," he said, raising his hand to stop her as she turned to respond. "Our marriage is already hanging by a thread because you think that this—" He made a vague gesture toward her daring outfit, leaving little to the imagination. "Is something your husband should just accept?" Julia, unfazed, continued applying her makeup. "I promised to meet them at 10, and you're making me late with this conversation." He persisted, his voice tinged with desperation. "You also promised to respect your husband," he replied sarcastically. "Are your friends' feelings more important than mine?" "What's gotten into you?" she snapped back, irritation flashing in her eyes. "I'm just going out for a drink with friends. Now please, drop it and get some rest." Taking a deep breath, Oscar tried to contain his frustration. "I want to trust you, but every Friday night, I sit at home worrying whether you'll cross the line with some random guy leaning against the bar." I'm not like that. She opened her mouth to retort, but he cut her off. I can't shake this feeling, especially after Barbara bragged about her wild escapades on social media this week. It's hard to ignore. Tension hung in the air, and Oscar realized that tonight wasn't just about a night out, it was a turning point, and he couldn't shake the sense that they were standing on the brink of something dangerous. She was one of your closest friends, and that's what she's been up to lately. How soon will you convince yourself it doesn't matter if I never find out? Julia sat speechless, her eyes wide with disbelief. Oscar pressed on, frustration bubbling within him. If you want to dance on the dance floor, I'll go with you. But if you're planning to mess around with strangers, let's be honest, we can end this right now. His words hit her like a slap. Now you're just insulting me, Julia responded indignantly. No, I'm being honest. I can't believe you don't feel torn when you're with some guy, or when you share a kiss with a clean-shaven stranger looking for a fleeting connection, or worse, something more. Oscar paused, searching her eyes for a glimmer of understanding. I want to believe you haven't crossed that line yet, but I need you to choose. Go out or stay home. The choice is yours. But remember, I have a choice too. If you decide to leave, don't expect me to sulk when you come back. That's it. He laid it all out for her, giving her a chance to understand what was bothering him, to see his desire to make their marriage strong. But she turned a blind eye. Now she was faced with a choice, him or her friends. This is a terrible joke, Oscar, she replied, her voice burning with rage. This isn't a joke, he replied, his tone low and steady. If you want to dress like your wild divorced girlfriends and hit the bars every Friday night, that's your choice. But let's be clear. The thought of sitting here waiting for you to come home with some stranger's mark on you isn't the life I envisioned for myself. He turned toward the door, his resolve hardening. I have things to take care of. When you're ready, I'll be waiting downstairs, he said, his voice echoing in the dimly lit room. Julia sat silently before the mirror, lost in thought, her reflection a canvas of conflicting emotions. She hadn't crossed the line with other men, at least not in the way one might think. Sure, the handsome stranger last week had stirred something in her, and she'd given him a taste of closeness with a fleeting caress. But that was all. Still, the thrill of being admired on the dance floor ignited a fire in her that she couldn't quite extinguish. Every compliment from Oscar felt obligatory, a duty of his role as her husband. But the way the men in the club looked at her with eyes full of desire and hunger made her feel alive and intoxicating. Meanwhile, Oscar sat at his laptop, focused on filling out an online form, unaware of the storm brewing between them. The clock neared 11, and down the stairs came Julia, a vision in high heels that accentuated her long, slender legs, hugged by a blue dress. Oscar glanced at her, caught between confusion and intrigue. Would she stay with him for the night or slip away into the arms of her wild friends? A heavy silence hung in the air as she hesitated, weighing her options. Finally, after an agonizing moment, she broke the silence. I'm already late. Let's discuss this tomorrow, she said with a note of uncertainty in her voice. Oscar slowly shook his head, retreating back into his digital world, his indifference cutting through the tension. With uncertainty and defiance, Julia took a step toward the door, wondering if her husband was truly ready to let her go. The front door slammed shut behind her, a sound so final that Oscar barely had time to react before he filled out the form, pressed submit, and attached the link to his email. With a heavy heart, he climbed the stairs, packing his things into a couple of suitcases. The decision was made. On Monday, he would accept the tempting job offer in the Caribbean. While waiting for the taxi, he sent a message to the family group chat, a quiet farewell to the life he once knew. Hello, everyone. I wish I could share this news in a better way, but I need to inform you of something important. Julia has clearly stated that she craves thrills and adventures that I can't provide. I've sent her the link to our divorce papers. It's truly been an honor to be part of your lives, but I believe it's best for me to step aside and not stay in touch. With one last task on his mind, he approached the printer, pulled out a sheet of paper, and scrawled a note at the bottom. Then he placed it on their wedding photo, which proudly hung above the fireplace, a bittersweet reminder of what once was. Taking a deep breath, he turned off his phone and stepped outside to wait for the taxi. Meanwhile, Julia had settled into her spot at the club, laughing with Barbara when her phone buzzed. If this is Oscar begging me to come back, she thought with irritation. But to her surprise, it was her sister Shannon. Where the hell are you? Came Shannon's urgent voice. I'm at the club with my friends, Julia defended herself, expecting a reaction from Shannon. What's going on? Does Oscar know about this? Shannon pressed, her tone sharp. Well, yeah, he knows I'm out with friends. What's the big deal? Julia responded, feeling the tension. Did he like it? Shannon's anger was palpable, revealing her long-standing attachment to Oscar. Well, no, of course he wasn't thrilled. I told him we'd talk tomorrow. Well, good luck with that, you fool. Oscar has left you, Shannon exclaimed, and the full weight of the situation hit Julia like a wave. Wake up. You're not 18 anymore. Just check your email. With those words, Shannon abruptly hung up, leaving Barbara to watch the rising panic in Julia. In the dim light of the nightclub, Julia's face drained of color as she fumbled to open her email app. The message from her family appeared on the screen, hitting her like a ton of bricks. That must be why Shannon called. Before she could catch her breath, the phone buzzed again. Relief washed over her. It was Oscar. But no. Looking down, she saw it was her brother. The tension in her gut tightened. What did you do to Oscar? Her brother snapped, disbelief and anger mixed in his voice. He treated you like a queen, and you wanted more? Jack, it's not like that, Julia stammered, her heart pounding. I felt trapped. I just needed one night a week to be myself. He scoffed, disbelief evident in his voice. You're in a damn nightclub. Your husband just left you and you're having fun? The fury in his tone was palpable. Her brother rarely swore, especially in front of family. What could she say in her defense? The loud music and laughter around her made the situation painfully clear. No, Jack. This probably happened after I left home. Please just stop. But before she could finish, the line went dead. Julia's heart sank. Grabbing her bag and phone, she rushed out of the club, completely ignoring Barbara and the other friends as they flashed by her on the street. A few minutes later, the taxi arrived, and she quickly jumped in, her thoughts swirling in a chaotic whirlwind. During the ride, she tried calling Oscar, but his phone went straight to voicemail. When she finally entered her house, the silence enveloped her like a heavy shroud. It felt cold and empty, mirroring the turmoil in her heart. Julia kicked off her shoes and rushed up the stairs with her heart pounding wildly. The sight that greeted her was a stark reminder of his absence. Most of his clothes and his shaving kit were gone. Panic gripped her, and she raced back down the stairs. His phone, laptop, wallet, everything that once connected her to him had vanished. Holding her breath, Julia dashed upstairs again. His passport was missing too. The reality of his warning echoed in her mind. There was no room for misunderstanding, no space for doubt. If she had left, she would have returned to find nothing but echoes in an empty house. She had always known him to be truthful, an honest and decent man who had been wounded by past betrayals. Oscar valued honesty above all else, and he had kept his word. As she descended the stairs again, a sense of utter helplessness washed over her. Just an hour ago, she had been happily married. Now, the weight of separation pressed down on her. Divorce loomed on the horizon, and the thought seemed unreal. But then, something caught her attention. A picture hanging above the fireplace. It seemed out of place, somehow wrong. As Julia examined the image more closely, a wave of nausea hit her. What was it about this photograph that made her stomach churn? It was a snapshot from someone's social media, capturing a moment of supposed bliss. A young man on one knee proposing to his girlfriend in a scene straight out of a romantic movie. But in the background lurked a shocking twist. Julia, entangled in a passionate embrace with a man who wasn't shy about groping her in plain view. Above this chaotic scene, Oscar had scrawled in bold black letters, "Liar." What followed was a whirlwind of unexpected events. Oscar, seeking solace and perhaps escape from his heartache, left the country, leaving Julia alone with the newfound freedom she had long desired. But this liberation came with consequences. 3 months later, Julia was confronted with the harsh reality of poverty, a choice that would haunt her in ways she had never imagined. Meanwhile, Oscar's journey led him to sun-soaked beaches, where, while surfing, he met a sweet and charming woman. Their romance blossomed into something beautiful, a stark contrast to the turbulent past he had left behind. Yet the saga of Oscar and Julia reached its poignant conclusion in that moment captured on camera, a bittersweet reminder of love, betrayal, and the unpredictable paths we choose. The rest of their lives, filled with new beginnings, heartache, and lessons learned, are stories yet to be told. But the chapter of Oscar and Julia closed here, forever marked by one unforgettable photograph. This concludes the story. If you like it, then put your powerful like and subscribe to the channel.